there's a need to bring up this index. We are ranked medium. We still have not balanced our gender. That is, we have not attained gender equality, which is the purpose of this particular project. Now, the questions we always ask ourselves is, why have some countries developed? Why have they developed than others? Why are some countries lagging behind in terms of gender equality? And how does this gender equality impact on development? I would want to probably draw attention to the fact that economists of education have for a long time pointed attention to the matter of the development of human capital. And when they develop this concept
in the compound, the amphitheater, even as she prepares to get in, I want to recognize the presence of Mr. Kwame Owino of the Institute of Economic Affairs, one of our partners. Allow me also to recognize the presence of our CEC Public Works from Tharaka Nithi, Bwana Abraham. Karibu sana, feel at home. As I appreciate the presence of all of us. Our chief guest is already walking towards the main entrance of this place, escorted by our Vice Chancellor. You can see they're just going through the protocols. As soon as our chief guest gets in, I will request that we be upstanding as we welcome her before we go through the other program. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cabinet Secretary, Public Service and Gender Professor Margaret Kobia has just gotten in. Let us welcome her. Kindly let us rise up, escorted by our Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina. Karibu sana, our chief guest. Karibu sana, our Vice Chancellor. Welcome to this very important event to our university and, of course, the nation at large. I will request that we remain upstanding as we get the Kenya national anthem, followed by the East African anthem, then the Kenyatta University anthem. Our Chairman of Council, karibu sana, Professor. The national anthem. East African anthem. Mungu twaomba uilinde Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu, Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuwajibike Thank you. I'll request that we remain standing for a word of prayer said by Pastor Kigundu Ndwiga, the SDA chaplain, Kenyatta University.
Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth and in KU and today as it is in heaven. Our Father, we want to thank you for life, and we want to thank you for our proactive leadership. We want to thank you, Lord, for our creative visionary management team led by our professor, a team that is committed to execution. Indeed, Lord, this is the day that the Lord has made. We'll be glad and rejoice in it. Father, in a very special way, we want to thank you for the inauguration of this audacious initiative to empower, sharpen, and equip our women so that they can be true to the purpose that you created them. Created in the image of God, you created them, Lord, to stand shoulder to shoulder with men in development. And Lord, you created them with unlimited potential to transform the world. Our Father, unleashing that potential, may our women walk in liberty with their heads held high, celebrating true womanhood as a result of this initiative. Father God, as we launch this initiative today, help us not to focus on what is, but what will be. Because you remind us in your word not to forget, not to despise small beginnings. May this seed planted today grow to be a towering tree and expand into an evergreen forest of economically empowered women. May this initiative grow from strength to strength. Father, bless our benefactors and partners in this initiative. And use the CS today, Lord, to challenge us to move into a preferred future for this initiative. For thine, O Lord, is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen and amen.
Thank you very much. Could we be seated, please? Our chief guest, CS Professor Margaret Kobia, welcome back to Kenyatta University. Our Chairman of Council, our Vice Chancellor, members of the Board of Management of Kenyatta University, the DVCs, registrars, deans of schools, our heads of departments present, our valued partners, researchers, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I take this opportunity to welcome you to this official launch of the KU Women Economic Empowerment Hub. We are looking forward to hear quite a lot and learn much about this particular project. But to start us off, before we go to the more official speeches, we'll have a brief moment of entertainment. This entertainment has been organized by our coordinator of entertainment, Dr. Wambugu. And to start us off, we have 3 students. These are first-year students. They just reported a few weeks ago. Audrey, Maureen, and Michael. They have messages that are relevant to the day. Karibuni sana. We hope you will enjoy.
Vanga vande vanga atiwe na mama awinja awinja amagwangu avana vande vanga President Obama's words. So mtu asiwahi kuambia huwezi. Mtu asiwahi kuambia sky is the limit and yet kuna footprints kwa mwezi. Tunajua spiders hawafanyi IT, but are the best web designers. And so daughter, when you're empowered, in case you're empowered and you want to be an insect, I want you to be a bee. So that when a man calls you honey, he should know that you can make honey. And daughter, when you're empowered, and a man older than your dad wants to court you, I want you to tell him this: I'm diabetic, I don't do sugar daddies. And daughter, when you're empowered, don't be deceived by careers. I have come across soldiers protecting boundaries with their lives, but they fail to protect their daughters at the edge of the FGM knife. I have come across bloggers, web designers, socialites, spending more time on the internet than they did with their children's homework. I have come across doctors whose wives are so patient, they fail to take them for a treat. And daughter, when you're empowered, and the world tells you to shake what your mama gave you, I want you to shake your head in disagreement and tell them, this is what my mama gave me. A head full of values, principles, and dignity. And daughter, when you're empowered, you should know that your body is a temple. And I've never seen a temple posting nudes on social media, because one like from God is just like a million likes from men. And daughter, when you're empowered, you should know that all battles are won on knees. And a woman who goes on her knees every 6:30 will never twerk, bend over, or do the 6:30s. Daughter, it's time you start listening to your own consciousness before you start listening to Vibes Cartel and Conscious, because the vibes make me unconscious. Daughter, stop fighting for your rights and standing for your rights. It's time your rosa packs, you can sit for your rights. Hii time nimespend hapa ni timeless. Nimeelewa hii knife ni drama, Kiswahili na English ni grammar, na sheng ndo lugha ya mama. Na ukidhani mi wazimu, like mother, like daughter, then God must be crazy. Thank you.
Blinded by choice. So, we are all blinded by our choice and defined by the same choice. You see, we live in a democracy that is supposed to bind us as one, but instead blinds us as two. A democracy of two kinds of people, the rich and the poor, the have and the have-nots. A democracy where the poor think no more and breathe no more. A democracy where money is everything, no money, no say. They just sit on the fence and tell us, be free, be fearless, with your eyes, I repeat. Don't you see fear in their eyes? Don't you see fear in their eyes? They tell us to put on gowns and go make honey in the towns. Maybe they think we're too down, or maybe they think we're too blind, or maybe they do not know that this blindness is by our own choice. Now, brothers and sisters, remove all those titles. Remove all those Dr., Mr., Mrs., Mheshimiwa, Mkubwa, and even Your Excellency, and be you, because they're just dependents. Karma comes, karma goes. Trust me, my brother. There is no end to what can never bend or even see the end. Like I said, with your eyes. Don't you see this blindness that has blinded us not to see that you're blinded by our own choice? Sorry. So sorry, I'm sorry to say sorry because I'm sorry. Sorry because we keep listening to people who make a lot of promises, excuses and promises, and make nothing from nothing. Sorry, brothers and sisters. They love putting on black sharpshooters, black suits and red tie like they have tied their brains not to think until they cannot breathe anymore. Seated on the fence, no sense but nonsense, telling us, be free, be fearless, with your eyes. Don't you see fear in their eyes? Don't you see fear in their eyes? I am a prisoner. You are a prisoner. My uniform, your uniforms too. There must be a way of listening and seeing just to understand what you stand for in a nation. Let us empower our women economically, because they're not the problem, but the solution to our economy. I understand. We never walk in the same shoes, but at least we all have shoes.
Yes, women economic empowerment. She is a human like no other being. Strong, bold, and confident she is, a being in control of herself, neither shaken by dust or wind. Well presented she ever is, how charming she ever looks, her presence is ever felt in every door she enters. She is a woman economically empowered. A woman, a human she is, fighting to raise her voice, participating equally in the existing markets, having control over productive sectors, yearning to become financially stable. She is a woman economically empowered. Supporting her education, raises academic status, nurtures her skills and talents, realizes her dreams, for it is through education she becomes economically fit. She is a woman economically empowered. Promoting women-run businesses, raises her financial status, in control of herself she is, in control of her money she becomes. She is a woman economically empowered. Offering loans to women to start up their businesses, encouraging women to speak up, boosting their self-esteem, in control of their lives they become. They are women economically empowered. Their voices are their passwords. Women, our voices are our passwords. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause to our students, very, very, very freshly joining KU just a few weeks ago. And this is, apart from what we are doing to do, Kenyatta University is also known for nurturing talent, and you can see from what is happening. The next group on stage is the Rambolo Dance Troupe. This is a group of performers, students, and instructors from the Department of Music and Dance in Kenyatta University. They perform and promote our traditional music performances. Today, we are going to see them perform the Ohangla drums, the Orutu, the Obokano, as they take us back to our traditions. Karibuni sana, Jafeth, Bariza, Ogari, and your student. Karibuni sana.
Cha. Como kungo te baratita besakora mama. Como kungo te baratita besakora mama. Mama bororo boko vinyata besakora mama. Mama bororo boko vinyata besakora mama. Ah. Como kungo te baratita besakora mama. Como kungo te baratita besakora mama. Mama bororo boko vinyata besakora mama. Mama bororo boko vinyata besakora mama. Ayo monto kora mama ayo monto kora mama monto kora mama ove ove tigangi tantigense ove tigangi tantigense ove ova manye kora mama ova manye kora mama ove cha. Come on! waniwadi kwa Yesu, waniwadi cha mungima. Waniwadi, haleluya, waniwadi kwa Yesu, waniwadi cha mungima. Waniwadi, haleluya, waniwadi kwa Yesu, waniwadi cha mungima.
A round of applause to Rambolo Troop. Once again, let us appreciate all the teams that have come on stage to give us some entertainment, starting with the students with the spoken word and the poems, and the instrumentalists. Ladies and gentlemen, now allow me to invite on stage Professor Judith Waudo, who is the KU WEE Hub leader, to give her welcome and introductory remarks. Karibu, Professor.
Our chief guest, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry for Public Service and Gender, Chairman, University Council, Professor Mikot, Vice Chancellor, Kenyatta University, Professor Paul Wanaina, members of University Management, DVC Research, Innovation and Outreach, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics, Senior Program Officer, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Mrs. Diva Da, Honorable Abraham Maruta, representing Governor Tharaka Nithi, Chairman Advisory Board, all partners on board, researchers, students, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to Kenyatta University and to the launch of Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub. We value you and we value your presence and partnership. Madam Cabinet Secretary, allow me to introduce a few people in the audience. The first people I want to introduce are the Hub staff. Hub staff, you just stand up and wave. KU Environment, yeah, that is the staff I'm working with. Thank you. The next group of people I want to recognize are the theme leaders. There are three. Anybody? Team leaders? Yes? Just wave. The third group of people I would like to introduce to you are the principal researchers and the co-principal researchers. Just stand up and wave. Thank you. The fourth people I would like to introduce are the researchers on this Women Economic Hub. All right, thank you. I also want to, the students who are on the program, there are 11 students, the students who are on this program. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge and have people, researchers from our partners. We are working with three partners, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Tharaka Nithi, and Institute of Economic Affairs. The researchers, if you are around, just stand up and wave. Thank you. And lastly, I want the stakeholders. We have invited stakeholders from the ministries of gender, public service and gender, Ministry of Education, and other ministries. If you are here, please just stand up and wave. Thank you and welcome. Now I would like to make my remarks. Kenyatta University won a grant from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation on initiative for what works to improve women economic empowerment in Kenya last year in September. This 5-year project, running from 2020 to 2025, is housed at the Center for Gender Equity and Empowerment at Kenyatta University, and was officially established at Kenyatta University in October 2020. Madam CS, ladies and gentlemen, the goal of this project is to build program and policy evidence on what works towards advancement of women economic empowerment in Kenya. The observation that women's representation in the economy is marred by poor gender representation at the policy decision-making level, the lack of gender-segregated data, and the fact that existing programs and policy have not been independently evaluated are some of the reasons why this program was initiated. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenyatta University Women's Economic Empowerment Hub will aim to do the following. First, to advance women's engagement in management and leadership positions. Number two, enhance women's skills in employability and entrepreneurship. Number three, prevent and reduce sexual and gender-based violence and enhance women's economic empowerment. Number four, develop a women's economic index, empowerment index, and a gender-responsive budgeting. And generally, the project aimed to capacity build junior researchers, postgraduate students, partners in research, policy advocacy, and communication strategies on women economic empowerment. Madam CS, this project consists of 12 research projects, and these projects are within 3 thematic areas, namely, women's role in the public and private sectors. Number 2, women's skilling and mentoring. Number 3, violence, crisis, and women's work. To achieve this, Kenyatta University is actually working with about 102 researchers, 73 researchers from Kenyatta University spread across 4 schools, and then about 30 researchers from partners who are working with us. And as I said before, 11 postgraduate students. The hub is also partnering with several international and local partners, such as University of Nairobi, UN Women, Institute for Economic Affairs, National Bureau for Statistics, Population Council of Kenya, Action Aid, Tharaka Nithi County, and African International Center for Research on Women, among others. And we continue networking because we want to build both local and international networks. The hub currently is being run by an advisory board, and then we have also a technical committee, and then we have a secretariat. So we thank the VC for facilitating this kind of structure. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, allow me to point out that the outcome of this project will be utilization of evidence by government implementing agencies, private sector players, donors to shape policies, programs, intervention, and advocacy efforts related to supporting women's economic empowerment in Kenya. I ask you all to join us in this endeavor, and especially your ministry, Madam Cabinet Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Waudo. Now allow me to invite on stage the chair of the advisory board, Professor Caroline Tharua, to give her remarks.
The chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service and Gender, Professor Kobia, Margaret Kobia, the Chairman of Council, Professor Shemogola, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, Mr. Abraham Muruta, representing the governor of Tharaka Nithi County, Mrs. Diva Da, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the DVC for Rio, Professor Gravinier, Mr. McDonald George Obudo, Mr. Kwame Owino from Institute of Economic Affairs, Mr. Michael Kariuki, Deputy Vice Chancellors, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, it's a great honor and pleasure for me to welcome all of you this afternoon on behalf of the Advisory Board. It is indeed an exciting day. We have been looking forward to this day, to launching the Advisory Hub. Ladies and gentlemen, women's economic empowerment is widely recognized by governments, international development institutions, and businesses globally as essential for human progress, thriving economies, and business success. This is why gender equality and women's economic empowerment are key priorities in the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. In sub-Saharan Africa, women are already very active participants in the economy. Women are present in all value chains as producers, business owners, executives, and employees, distributors, and consumers. Despite these contributions, women face significant economic challenges. While the majority of African women work, they still face economic exclusion as their jobs are underpaid, undervalued, and most are found in the informal sector. For a woman to achieve her full economic potential, she needs more than a job. She must be empowered with the ability to succeed and advance economically, and she must have the power to make and act on economic decisions. This can be achieved only when society takes a holistic approach that addresses the underlying economic, social, cultural, and political factors that serve as barriers of women's empowerment. Evidence points to 4 overarching systemic constraints to the economic environment of empowerment of women. First, adverse social norms. 2, discriminatory laws and lack of legal protection. 3, failure to recognize, reduce, redistribute unpaid household work and care. And finally, a lack of access to finance, digital, and property assets. These constraints undermine women's economic opportunities in all aspects of work. So to accelerate progress, transformations are needed to break through all these constraints. Breaking constraints on women economic empowerment requires an enabling environment. There is no magic solution to achieving women's full and equal economic participation. Action is required by all stakeholders, government, public and private sectors, civil society, international development institutions. Creating a more supportive, enabling environment can accelerate all efforts for women's economic empowerment and is essential for lasting change. An enabling environment is characterized by the implementation of policies and legal reforms that remove structural barriers, challenge discriminatory norms, ensure adequate social protection, expand access to crucial infrastructure and facilities, and facilitates the organization and collective voice and representation of women to set the terms of their economic engagement. Policies are crucial enablers of gender equality because they shape the overall economic environment for advancing women's economic empowerment. Policy choices influence the level and pattern of employment creation, the level of unpaid care, and the resources available for governments to promote gender equality. The KU Women Economic Hub seeks to mobilize key stakeholders from public and private sector to action to enhance women's economic empowerment in Kenya. The hub seeks to build evidence on what works among Kenyan policies and programs to promote decent employment and entrepreneurship and remove constraints to work for women. It will focus on evaluating existing but understudied large-scale programs and policies, as well as innovative small-scale programs with high potential impact. In addition, it will provide evidence through research and promote uptakes of finding, building on strong relationships with key ministries and agencies. We at the Hub and the Advisory Board look forward to implementing this program. We are very grateful to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for funding the Hub. And we want to acknowledge the support of Diva Da at the Bill and Melinda Gates. There are many stakeholders in the program representing government, ministries, and counties, and we want to thank them all for joining us in this program. I also want to thank members of the Advisory Board, and I think most of them are present here. I'd just like to ask them to stand and so that we can acknowledge them, members of our Advisory Board, or to wave. Yes, we have members, Mr. Maruta from Tharaka Nithi County, and I know we also have present with us, we have Professor Gravinier, yes, our DVC. We have Mr. McDonald George Obudo. I think he's with us here as well. We have Mr. Kwame Owino present, Mr. Michael Kariuki from the ministry, and of course we have Mrs. Diva Da from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, whom we're grateful because she has walked with us. We also want to thank the Vice Chancellor for his support of the program and all his advice as we have gone along. So we look forward to the implementation of this program and having lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Dharua. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite our DVC, Research, Innovation and Outreach, Professor Grivny, to give brief remarks.
Our chief guest, Honorable Professor Margaret Kobia, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service and Gender. Professor Shem Migota Dola, the Chairman of Council, Kenyatta University. Professor Paul Wanaina, Vice Chancellor, Kenyatta University, DVC is present, representatives of the project partners, the deans, Professor Judith Waudo, the WeeHub leader. I like that word, the WeeHub leader. Professor Caroline Torua, Chairperson, Project Advisory Boards, researchers, students who are present, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Let me join Professor Waudo to warmly welcome our chief guest, especially our chief guest, and the project partners to this particular launch event. Particularly our chief guest, like I said, because we all do recognize, for those who have been in KU for quite some time, this is home to her. And when a sibling is coming home, you really prepare. In most African communities, you prepare to receive her. And then she too, she prepares to come. So I believe the Cabinet Secretary would have brought a lot of goodies for us because she's coming to an African home. And I believe these goodies have been given to the Vice Chancellor. Now, we are indeed very glad that we are launching this particular project today. The Bill and Melinda Gates funded project, which is what works for women economic empowerment in Kenya. This is certainly a testimony to the academic and research excellence that Kenyatta University is beginning to develop. The other day when we had an event here, we made mention that the budget we are supporting for research in this university is in excess of $500 million Kenya shillings. Those are the projects we are undertaking. And we are very happy that research is taking place very much. Please give me, before I invite the Vice Chancellor, give me time to maybe make remarks on one or two things. In my study of economics of education, what attracted me so much is the theory of human capital. Human capital. And that particular theory posits certain preconditions you must meet for everybody in the population to contribute maximally to growth and development. Number one, all persons must access education, quality education, that is. There's poor education, there's quality education. All persons must access quality education and training to maximize their productivity. Number one, it's not negotiable. Everybody to go through that. And it will elevate all we are talking about: economic empowerment, opportunity, and so on. Number two condition, all persons must access health and nutrition for survival and increased productivity. Because without nutrition, without health and nutrition, especially the women who take care of their kids, we are not going to improve the quality of our people in the country so that they can be productive. Number three condition, all persons must access continuing upskilling and reskilling to be up to date technologically as we move from an agricultural economy to manufacturing to service. We must do that. And if we obey these three preconditions, then we have no problem. And this is what the gender gap index is supposed to measure now. The evidence you can use to say that this works is that the level of education of the population can be correlated with the GNP. That's number one. Number two is that you can relate gender gap index with human development index. They are positively correlated. We do well in this, we are going to do well in that. Then the last one, the last evidence is correlating the gender gap index with total fertility rates. That is negative. You do well in this, you don't do well in that, and vice versa. Because when women are not educated, we do know that the total fertility rate is high. When they're educated, the total fertility rate is low. Now, what is this global gender index? It measures three things. This is the economic participation, which we are talking about, empowerment, and opportunity. If you have the education, we educate all our people, whether they are men or women, they are going to access economic participation and opportunity. Number two, educational attainment of the population. Number three, health and survival, and political empowerment. Political empowerment. What I see with these four is that educational attainment is central, around which the three rotate. Economic empowerment. It is provided by educational attainment. Health and survival, educational attainment, political empowerment. For God's sake, you can see in this country we are legislating. You must have a degree before you become a member of parliament and whatever you have. So education is central. The last thing I want to mention, our chief guest, is that I looked at the global gender gap index. Some countries are doing well, some countries are not doing well. What I noticed, surprisingly, is Rwanda. Rwanda is doing excessively well. Rwanda is in the top 10. Actually, it's number 9 by the 2019 ranking. It's number 9 and it's rubbing shoulders with the Scandinavian countries and Switzerland. There's a lot we can learn from Rwanda, and I would lay that challenge to the WeeHub. On that note, Chairperson, let me invite our Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wanaina, to make his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor will be coming on stage to invite the partners to make their speeches, then he'll make his speech later. Kindly.
Thank you very much. Madam CS, we have been told that Kenyatta University researchers are working with the partners. I think we are represented here by 3 partners. We have a partner from Tarakanidhi, who is here representing the governor. Then we have somebody from the Bureau of Standards. And then the other one is the other partner, economic. Yeah. So we are going to have Paul Somei, Director Population Statistics, to come here and make his remarks, very brief remarks. And then we can have Kwame Owino, Institute of Economic Affairs, following. And then we are going to have Honorable Abraham Maruta, CEC, Public Service and Administration, and Evolution, that is coming from your ministry, CS. Then very quickly, we are going to be joined by Ms. Diva Da, who is actually the project director of the foundation, the Bill Gate and Merida Gate Foundation. So let's have these people in that order and very brief remarks, because at the end we are going to have Diva joining us through Zoom. Karibu sana, Bwana Paul Somai. So after that, then we are going to be followed by Kwame, and then Honorable Abraham, and then Divada.
Our chief guest, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service and Gender, Vice Chancellor, Kenyatta University, Professor Paul Wanaina, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, DIVA, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to join you during this important occasion in launching Kenyatta University and Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub. Kenya National Bureau of Statistics allows the collaboration between the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation and Kenyatta University in designing the projects that will be launched today, which is aimed at bridging the gender gap and economic empowerment. The gender statistics are central in understanding the dynamics of and for promoting gender equity, because it provides relevant information, including indicators and benchmarks for measuring progress and analyzing underlying factors. As the principal government agency for official statistics, KNBS is committed to providing technical support in production of statistics in the country by applying international concepts, standards, and guidelines in the process of women economic empowerment. KNBS has made progress in improving availability of quality gender statistics to support evidence-based decision-making. In filling our mandate of coordinating the national statistical system, KNBS has collaborated with other relevant stakeholders to provide gender sector statistics plan, which offers strategic direction on statistics development for the sector for the period 2019, 2020 to 2022, 2023. The plan also aims at strengthening Kenyans' statistical capacity in gender statistics. Further, in 2020, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics introduced a standalone chapter on gender and empowerment in the annual economic survey publication to provide the annual statistics on gender development. So this chapter will be in the economic survey from that time onwards. Kenya National Bureau of Statistics is participating in the Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub by developing a measure of Women Economic Empowerment Index. In 2020, the Bureau, in collaboration with UNICEF and UN Women, developed a Women Empowerment Index report, which provided a measure of the index at the national level. The Women Economic Empowerment Index will provide statistics for women economic empowerment at national and the county level. The disaggregated statistics will facilitate policy formulation targeting women at the county level. Further efforts will be made to explore provision of Women Economic Empowerment Index statistics at the sub-county levels, that is, the constituencies, wards, and sub-location. The Bureau further commits to support other researchers in Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub in the project in the matters of statistics, including technical support in sampling and data processing. Given the wide network of our county statistics offices, you are welcome to use them during your data collection across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, KNBS is pleased to be part of this noble cause, as it is responsible for coordinating, monitoring, and supervising all statistical programs under the national statistical system. Therefore, strengthening the existing multi-stakeholder collaboration, which incorporates states and non-state actors, is fundamental into synchronize the greater breadth and depth of expertise among others. At this juncture, I wish to express my gratitude to all institutions engaged in the process of developing Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub and looping in KNBS in the process. In conclusion, the Bureau commits to continue to collaborate with stakeholders in supporting the production of quality statistics to generate new, innovative, and evidence to guide planning, targeting, and budgeting for all and with focus on the left behind according to the aspiration of the 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we invite the CEO, Institute of Economic Affairs, Mr. Kwame Owino.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here. If you asked me about what kind of factors will determine Kenya's development and sustenance over the next generation, it is clear that the role of its youth generally and that of its women specifically will be indispensable. Taking that as a given and adding to that the fact that Kenya's constitution requires that opportunities be opened up to all its citizens, again, of whom women are 50%, the hub cannot have come in at a more opportune time. And so, speaking for the Institute of Economic Affairs, we are gratified to be here as well to pitch in our own two ways. One, to elevate the quality of public debate around the contributions of women in the economy and other areas of public affairs. And finally, to provide evidence and use that evidence to inform decision-making by government, specifically as a public affairs actor, to ensure that government investments and government policies are not only cost-effective because resources are scarce, but are fit for purpose and ensure the success of the country. Thank you very much.
We now invite Honorable Maruta. Karibu.
Our chief guest today, Professor Margaret Kobia, who is CS Public Service and Gender in this loved nation of ours, the chairman of the council, the vice chancellor at Kenyatta University, Professor Paul Wainaina, the DVC is present, all distinguished guests, and my colleague in WE program, good afternoon. Allow me to make a very quick introduction, Madam Chief Guest, before I say anything. And my name is Abraham Maruta from Tharaka Nithi County Government, being a member of County Executive Committee member with a CEC in charge of Public Service, Administration, and Devolution Affairs. And with me from the government, we have come as a team, are also a stakeholder from Chuka University. We have him here. Allow me, Chief Guest, to make them stand, and I just introduce them. We have at the extreme head the Chief Officer who is in charge of administration, and who will be the accounting officer in this project, is known as Mitugo. Thank you, Bwana Mitugo. we have Dr. Christopher Kiboro, who is representing Chuka University and is a researcher in this project. We have Engineer Kimathi, who is a Chief Officer Trade, and who is also a researcher in this program. We have our legal advisor, Madam Lilian, who is a principal investigator, and who is also a researcher, and also in one of the team in the Kenyatta University. Then we have our colleague, Youth, who is a County Executive Committee member in charge of education, youth, gender, sports, and tourism, Madam Shira Mwende Kiganka, who was also schooling in this institution, professor, so he was showing us the geography of the place when we came. Now, besides that, Madam CS, we have a team from KU, whom we hold with the IS team because their contribution towards the program that we are running in Tharaka Nithi County is critical, and I kindly request them also to rise up. We have Professor Grace there. Professor Grace is in the team of Tharaka Nithi. I saw Dr. Wambua is also here. There is also Dr. Christine, who is also with us, and Dr. Okongo. So, Bwana VC, we appreciate that relationship. Now, having said that, I'm representing His Excellency, the Governor of Tharaka Nithi County, Honorable Muthomi Njoki, who could not be with us in this launch, but who is also in spirit with us because he has ever, Bwana VC, he has ever visited this institution in discussion of this project 2 times. So he is in concurrence of what we are doing and what we are going to say today here. Now, to take the shortest time possible, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, all governments are anchored upon the political, social, and economic stability of our citizens. As entrenched in the Kenya Vision 2030, the economic pillars bears the central pivotal arms, which link the socio-political pillar towards the realization of enhanced livelihoods. Development and governance support programs, and in this regard, according to 2020 World Economy Ranking and a Standard Title 2020 Best Countries Ranking, Kenya, Madam CS, is ranked as number 53. With the GDP per capita of US dollar, this is 3,705, and GDP of US dollar compared to 87.9 billion for a population of our country, which is 51,393,010 people. About 3/4 of the nation's population live in rural areas and mainly depend on agriculture, value chain investments. The country is classified as a mid-level economy where investment is towards the digital age of the 4th industrial revolution. Is taking shape, ladies and gentlemen, our 2 levels of government have a special focus in addressing the increasing multilateral inequality in the economies. As described in the Global Competitiveness Report for the World Economic Forum, the perception that current economic approaches do not serve people and societies well enough is gaining ground, promoting or prompting calls for new models of human-centric economic progress. Cultural influence commands the finest flow of food, fashion, and ease of living of a nation's population, thus determining a country's identity, and where gender always features as an enabler towards how fine our cultural influence is amalgamated into existing governance structure. This has a direct ripple effects to the political, social, and economic pillar of development. Ladies and gentlemen, most of women population in the country indulge in the blue-collar jobs, that is on trained enterprise investment. The entrepreneurship mainly comes up as a blend between capital-led and market-led economies, where gender is one of the indelible drivers to the small and the micro enterprises, which people refer to as SMEs. Ladies and gentlemen, currently SMEs are the main drivers of any country's economy. In Tharaka Nithi, trade and investment is mainly through SMEs on agri-based value chain products, cottage industries, and artisan products. A quick survey in this program will show that most of the SMEs in Kenya and in the country are run by women. It is congruent that most of the market-based activities are women-led. Therefore, with over 40 training centers across our county, the government has already developed elaborate market infrastructure in over 18 urban areas in Tharaka Nithi County, with most of the people selling diverse commodities within these markets being women. Women trading within our market face the challenge of balancing work and child care. It is upon the role of parents to make arrangements on child care and balance work demands. Madam CS, this is often by employing three main strategies to balance their work and children care responsibilities. One, combine work and child care, and two, rely on kin or neighbors or use center-based child care. It is upon this backdrop that the Tharaka Nithi County government focused on exploring possible investment on best practice models for women economic empowerment. One of the programs so identified and prioritized through community managed participatory approach is integrating and upscaling of creche. This is a center where lactating mothers bring their children and they can continue selling what they are selling, and then if they feel like breastfeeding, they just go and breastfeed them and get back into what they are doing. And this is the one this program is targeting. The program aims at improving the contribution of women to one's market-based small and micro-enterprise trade and investment engagement. It was identified as an economic break-even trigger approach, thus the need to assess, analyze, and recommend on best possible ways to scale up the investment. We are most thankful to Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation for coming in and in a very serious way through Kenyatta University in the manner of calling it Women Economic Empowerment to support the county government in carrying out the research and a standard objective we are calling to as addressing or improving child care through the creche program, a strategy for women economic empowerment in Tharaka Nithi County, which is one of the counties in this country, Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, we are most indebted and grateful for this exemplary partnership base which we have built, and as a government, we shall endeavor and support the initiative in all best possible ways towards realization of a robust gathering of data and the scaling up of this project in various parts of this country. With the onset of COVID-19, Madam CS, situations have exacerbated the need for mothers to closely monitor their children or their child as they go about their daily work. These and aforementioned factors agitated the utility demands for a center-based child care by famous name called as creche. As a women empowerment strategy in the county, we have the first creche established at Ichuka Market. The ones who had an opportunity to have traveled in Tharaka Nithi County, there is a market or town called Ichuka, and you can see how beautiful the county government has made it to be, and that is where the Arts Center is established, and it's open for any learning. And Madam CS, I'm very happy that you have visited the place and you indicated that it's a good example for all parts of this country to be replicated. As the county government plans, we have plans to scale up the initiative to other established markets. It is expected that the recommendations from the research findings will enable us to adopt evidence-based decision-making and programming approaches for enhanced replication of best practices and optimization of exploiting all possibly lost opportunities within the working class of our mothers. This is geared towards realization of greater impact on both the program and the policy guidelines to which the program anchors. With those few remarks, thank you very much. May God bless Melinda Gates Foundation, may God bless Kenyatta University, and may God bless Tharaka Nithi County. Thank you, members.
Thank you very much, CAC Abraham Maruta from Tharaka Nithi. Ladies and gentlemen, as indicated earlier, we are partners following this launch online. And our next address will be from Ms. Diva Da, who is joining us virtually from Seattle. I hope our technicians are there so that we're able to receive her address.
Hi, can you hear me?
Thank you very much.
Honorable C.S. Kobia, Vice Chancellor Paul Vainena, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professors Babudo, Toruba, Angare, Were, and Mwabu, dear friends and colleagues, members of the university management, and partners from Tharaka Nithi, KNBS, and IEA. It is a privilege to be among you here today, though I'm joining virtually. We would have loved to be there in person to engage with you, given the long discussions and engagements we've had with the whole team over the last year. I'm privileged to be joining you virtually and look forward to seeing you all in person. I want to congratulate the entire team for realizing your vision of building a women's economic empowerment hub for Kenya. Your unstinting efforts and commitments despite the pandemic to build and develop a hub to generate evidence for practitioners, for policymakers, for other researchers and academics, to pursue partnerships locally and internationally to build the expertise to develop rigorous evidence for women's economic empowerment has been a pleasure to see from afar. I also wanted to say that this is a very opportune time to be launching a women's economic empowerment hub in Kenya. Never too late, but COVID has, as you know, exacerbated many gender gaps across the world, including in Kenya, whether it be on gender-based violence, childcare, and women's work in the formal and informal sector, on dropouts, on school-to-work transitions. The themes that you all are focusing on are extremely relevant in this moment, and the research and partnerships that emerge from this project are going to be very crucial, not only for research in Kenya, but also outside, as you are building and developing collaborations across to have research from Kenya showcased around the world and to learn from the world and bring that to Kenya. I know that joining virtually with a bad network and internet connection has been challenging, but I just wanted to congratulate you all on this endeavor to deepen evidence, to address these issues on barriers to work and entrepreneurship, and ensure that these gender gaps in Kenya are holistically addressed through the research and evidence that you generate. I just wanted to thank you all and congratulate you all again on this opportune and timely launch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diva. Thank you for the address. I hope we've been able to follow. Now, I want to request the Vice Chancellor now to come back on stage and give his remarks. And after his remarks, may invite our chief guest to give her remarks.
Thank you very much, MC. Madam CS, before I make my remarks, I would like to say that Kenyatta University has a very strong council, and this council is chaired by none other than the Professor Shem Migotadola. Shem Migotadola is one of those people who are rare to find because he has worked in the government. He has also been a scholar. Now he's in the private sector, very key areas when you talk about women empowerment. For those who are old enough can remember one time Kenya, I think in the 90s, was having very serious problems economically. And there is what we used to call the dream team. And Professor Migotadola was part of that team. And therefore, we at Kenyatta University have a privilege to work with him as our chair of council. And the topic of today is very, very dear to what he does, particularly in terms of working with the management. And therefore, I'll request him to come and say a few words before I address you. Karibu sana, Professor.
Thank you very much, Honourable Vice Chancellor. I'm going to be very brief because what the Vice Chancellor is going to say and what is already being done don't need to be repeated. Let me express very, very sincere gratitude to the team at Kenyatta University that has put together the proposal that eventually earned us the grant from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to do this. The topic itself is one that has engaged this country for many years. There was the conference in Mexico sometime, I think in 1990, whatever. Then there was the conference in Beijing, all focusing on issues of inequality among the genders. And it is to be appreciated that Kenyatta University is now hosting a hub that is going to be critical in generating data so that some of the policy recommendations that will be made will be based on data to suggest what is it that might work, so that we don't beat about the bush in making policy or be driven by perceptions and emotions, etc., as perhaps we have done in the past. So mine is to congratulate the team and to express very, very sincere gratitude on behalf of the Council to the team that put this together and the management of the university. This does put Kenyatta University on the picture, on the target. So the country will expect a lot from us, and I'm confident that we will be able, given the partnerships that we have formed with the ministries, with the central, what used to be Central Bureau of Statistics, etc., with the partnerships we have formed, including with the ministry that is in charge of gender, that we are going to deliver and to contribute to policy making that is going to be based on data, on information that is going to be collected in Kenya. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Our chief guest, Honorable Professor Margaret Kobia, is the Cabinet Secretary for Public Service and Gender, and also an alumni of Kenyatta University. The Senior Program Officer, Gender Data and Evidence at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Ms. Diva will just talk to us. Other partners, particularly the ones who have just talked, the Chairman of Council, Kenyatta University, Professor Shem Migota Dola, our DVC, Research and Innovation, Professor Graveny, members of management who are here, the KU Women Economic Empowerment Hub Board Chair, Professor Caroline Thorua, other board members who are with us, the KU Women Economic Empowerment Hub leader, Professor Judith Waudo, other theme leaders and researchers with us, deans of schools present, members of Senate, if they are here, our students and other researchers, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Madam CS, it gives me great honor and pleasure to welcome you to Kenyatta University, and above all, to launch Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment Hub. The establishment of the hub has been financed through a generous research grant to Kenyatta University from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to implement a 5-year research project on what works to improve women's economic power in Kenya. This investment is intended to build a robust evidence on programs and policy interventions that can be scaled up to bridge the gender gap in the economy and empower women and girls to participate fully in national development. The chief guests and ladies and gentlemen, the establishment of the KU Women Economic Empowerment Hub in September 2020 resonate well with the similar hubs in East Africa and India that have received research grants from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to generate evidence required to formulate and implement critical policies that advance gender equity while addressing previous development biases against women. The research generated under this project will be used to advise policymakers and influencers, stakeholders, program managers, and advocates of better lives, especially for women and girls. Madam Cabinet Secretary, in this project, Kenyatta University is working with 3 strategic Kenyan partners, namely the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the Institute of Economic Affairs, and the government of Tharaka Nithi County, and they are all here represented. At the same time, efforts are underway to include collaborations with other international partners on this project, those who actually respect what this project is trying to do. Kenyatta University and the University of Nairobi, whose hub you recently launched, will be networking with other foundation partners to share the hub's research evidence in order to specifically achieve the following. A, enhance, advance, and broaden women's roles in public and private sectors. B, expand and improve skilling and mentoring programs for women and girls with the aim of fortifying their human capital. C, substantially reduce violence against women and girls and protect them during periods of crisis, pandemics, and other shocks, to name but a few. As we are all aware, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has badly affected the Kenyan economy, especially the informal sector, which supports the majority of women and girls. There is also preliminary evidence that the pandemic has aggravated sexual and gender-based violence, an issue that is at the heart of this project. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenyatta University recognizes the human capital of women and girls is an integral part of the development process. However, available evidence shows that while Kenyan women perform 2/3 of the total informal work in the economy, they receive only 10% of the wealth created. This project is designed to change the situation in favor of women and girls. Madam CS, I wish to take this opportunity to express my deep appreciation for the unique research grant that Kenyatta University received from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to host the National Women's Economic Empowerment Hub for the next 5 years and beyond. As an institution, we do not take this for granted, in particular during the prevailing economic hard times. We thank the Foundation through Ms. Diva, the Senior Program Officer, for this very timely gesture. As I add Madam CS, I take this opportunity to invite all men and women in this institution and beyond to become change agents in our relentless pursuit of gender equity and equality. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you. Members who are here, it is now my privilege to invite our chief guest, Professor Margaret Kovia, to come and address us. Her docket is really very important for us. If we have to have policy supported by evidence, the implementation is really going to fall on her docket. Karibu sana, Professor Kovia.
Thank you very much, Professor Wainaina, for your remarks and a warm welcome. The Chair of the Council, Professor Shem Agora, the Vice Chancellor, Kenyatta University, Paul Wainaina, DVCs present, representative of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, representatives of the partners, directors, deans and directors present, Professor Caroline Dorua, Chair of the Advisory Board, board members, Professor Judith Waudo, WeeHub Linda, researchers, Kenyatta University faculty members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be back home at Kenyatta University. I'm a frequent visitor here, the Vice Chancellor and the Chair of the Council, and I'm always happy to come home. I was challenged by Professor Gravenia that I should bring some goodies. That we'll deal later. Let me say that the reason why I'm here, the mandate of my ministry is two. One is public service management. The second one is promotion of gender equality and women empowerment. Regarding gender equality and women empowerment, of course, gender does not mean women. We just try to work around to promote how women and men can have equal opportunities economically, socially, culturally, and politically. But the question of women empowerment speaks very close to my heart, because I know when women want to participate, maybe for elected position, one of the challenges they face is finances. When women, the concern of most of the women is, how do I put food on the table for the children? It has to do with economic empowerment. How do I take my children to school? How do I provide health services when needed? Therefore, we have come to agree in the State Department of Gender, the most important and impactful empowerment for women is economic empowerment. Therefore, as I'm here, I'm also very happy to see some of my colleagues. I was here sometimes back, and my professional colleagues who are here. So the value of professional network in an institution is very important, because these colleagues here can call me just on telephone and I can come. And I feel yes, because we have traveled some journeys together. So I want to thank, before I read the speech, I want to thank all the speakers who have delivered their presentation before me. some of the things I'm going to say have also come through. That just tells us the importance of the topic before us. But before further, I also want to congratulate the university for winning this global research funding through competitive process. I do believe strongly universities of the future, taking into account the struggles, economic struggles that we have. Most of the best known universities are known because of the research grant that they attract. So the fact that you have attracted this, I want you to give yourself a clap. Can you give us a clap? These research grants will continue to build capability, and at the same time, they will be able even to pay for some of the researchers, and of course, develop them to want even to apply for other grants. So to me, University of Nairobi, Kenyatta University, you have learned the way in getting this global research. I know you may have others, but I'm just saying the most valuable professors of any university are those who attract research grants through competitive proposal writing. And I hope this will continue. And again, besides attracting this research grant, I'm sure the research findings that we use in this country then can only come through those researches and innovation, because in my view, we must break new grounds. We have been talking a lot on gender equality and women empowerment, but now we know gender gap index. Kenya is in the region of 109 out of about 150 countries. That is already an indicator, a baseline that now says with this effort, how can we be able to move to maybe 50s and all that. We are also told through World Economic Forum, if developing countries continue the way we are doing, without innovation and interventions, it will take us 200 years to get gender equality. I don't think we want to wait that long. Therefore, innovation through research are a must, that we must be able, as I said, break new grounds. So I'll go straight away and read my speech as it is written. It is with great pleasure that I join you this afternoon for the launch of Kenyatta University Women Economic Empowerment and the initiative for what works for women's economic empowerment. It is important that the new hub starts off on a high note with a game-changing portfolio of investment to improve production, quality, and the use of gender data to inform better programs and policy interventions. I congratulate the Kenyatta University team for your vision and leadership in establishing the hub and conceptualizing the initiative. The important work you have set out to do will indeed generate evidence that will guide action and decision-making on women economic empowerment. Empowering women economically has a far-reaching result in terms of leadership and decision-making, confronting gender-based violence, and participation in peace and security. So women who are economically empowered are likely to have a voice and are likely to participate in leadership and decision-making, which means charting a new path. We now know with the COVID-19, men and women are affected differently. We know confronting gender-based violence, women who are economically empowered, we find they are subjected to less, or they are not as exposed, or they are not as vulnerable as those who do not have economic empowerment. We also have come through literature that says women, when they are economically disempowered, that robs their dignity. They are likely to be marginalized twice, One, because you are a woman. Two, because you are poor. Therefore, any effort that goes towards economic empowerment connects very well with His Excellency the President's vision of this country that says we in government, we are after peace, unity, and prosperity. But when people are economically disempowered, you cannot have peace, you cannot have unity, and you cannot enjoy prosperous environment. We thank the financiers, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for their generous support over the next 5 years. The support earned to their already wide portfolio, the foundation has invested in Kenya in various other sectors, including health, education, innovation, and others. We want to say thank you and give our gratitude for the continued partnership with the people and the government of Kenya. I just want to say Bill and Melinda Gates have been doing a lot in this country, but perhaps the promise stands with the gender sectoral initiative now to go along with health, education, and all other efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, the push to have evidence-informed policy across sectors is not a new idea, and it signifies an intervention by stakeholders within and outside government to prioritize rational analysis for decision-making. Policies that are based on systematic evidence tend to produce higher impact and better outcomes in terms of economic growth, for job creation, and improved quality of life. This makes me think, women economic empowerment for what? If that, as we do our study, does not point towards improved quality of life as measured by Human Development Index, then we know we are not yet there. Because it can't just be economic empowerment for the sake of it. There is a bigger purpose, and we must always carry that in our research. Evidence-based policy also clarifies what is known and, more importantly, what is not known. It contrasts subjective opinion and ensures that we do not just advance ideas that look or feel good, but rather seek to place the best available evidence from research at the heart of policy development and implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya's Vision 2030 emphasizes the use of evidence in multiple sectors for better planning and execution of programs. In addition, recent policies in Kenya, including gender development policy as well as youth development policy, indicate the use of evidence in the pursuit of stated objectives. This demonstrates government commitment to the use of evidence in shaping agenda, defining issues, identifying options, making choices on action to take, and ultimately delivering on the needs of people. We therefore find the goal of WeeHub, to generate evidence-based data wholly consistent with the government policy, especially as they relate to women economic empowerment and gender equality. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2019 SDG Gender Index report found out that the world is farthest behind on gender equality issues related to better gender data and sustainable development goal number 17. The UN Women cautions the gaps in gender data and lack of trend data make it difficult to monitor commitment progress on women and girls' empowerment to enjoy equal opportunities and improved gender equality index. We have always said there are so many commitments year in, year out, but we have not been able to measure how these commitments are making a difference in terms of improving gender gap index. We now know partnership and collaboration with the state and non-state actors development partners, both levels of government, to create synergy holds the promise to the realization of Sustainable Development Goals, and especially SDG number 5, which is on gender equality and women empowerment. Indeed, the affirmative government-funded program on women's empowerment and gender equality, including affirmative funds such as Women Enterprise Fund, UESO, Youth Fund, among others, have been rigorously evaluated for outcome, impact effectiveness. While they haven't been evaluated, that's what I mean. While the absence of such rigorous evaluation does not necessarily mean that these programs do not achieve intended objectives, it does leave stakeholders in the dark about their true impact and areas of further improvement. Ladies and gentlemen, while ideally we should use evidence from the evaluation of this program to inform future decisions, such robust evaluation, extraction of relevant causal evidence, publishing and dissemination of research findings require substantial human, infrastructural, and resource investment. We are therefore happy that the WeeHub KU has secured substantial resources to generate much needed evidence-based data that will come out to tell us what works for women economic empowerment, particularly in Kenya. It is our hope that in addition to determining what works, the hub will also focus on some attention on measuring the cost and benefit of interventions to calculate the return on investment. Such insight will help us to confirm if the taxpayers' money is spent effectively and efficiently to support national and county government to do more with less resources. Ladies and gentlemen, as the ministry responsible for gender, we are fully committed to work with Kenyatta University, the WeeHub, and all partners to apply the evidence generated to influence the policy terrain in Kenya and all the 11 primary outcomes in KU WeeHub. Further, in line with the gender and development policy, we will work with you on the following. 1, collection and analysis of data and information required for the design, monitoring, and evaluation of policies and the programs. 2, providing gender disaggregated data on relevant indicators. 3, collaboration with the mandated agencies to gather disaggregated data in support of the 5 initiative. 4, establishing guidelines for the collection, analysis, correction of gender disaggregated data for use by relevant stakeholders. In conclusion, beyond hand research, there are other competing values that affect the policy decisions. Policies are developed in a fluid environment and do become subject of vested interests and can also be driven by pressure to act on headline-grabbing problems. This is what you scholars refer to as politics of evidence. We know, of course, not very positive, where we get some research finding tailored towards the interest, and I have in mind some of the counties where we are getting data on ending FGM, sometimes exaggerated depending on who has done it. That one I don't expect it from the university, but those other who are carrying out research and who want to indicate the situation or the phenomena prevalence for a different reason. This would come from a research like this particular one. I therefore associate myself with those who view evidence-based policy as an aspiration we are continually working towards. Ultimately, Decision-making involves mixing the science with judgment about feasibility and accommodating mediated political process and context, recent context, that shape the final policy. Policy has to be related with the context. The burden for scholars and researchers, therefore, is to ensure the quality and credibility of data. It is also important to acknowledge that when dealing with social issues such as gender equality, the evidence can be diverse and consistent with a competing set of evidence and testimony, which must all inform and influence policy. Ensuring transparency, especially in participation and engagement, peer reviews, and I'm glad University of Nairobi is also working, and other partners, peer reviews and robust debate on our findings and report can enhance trust along the communication between researchers and policy makers. I'm glad to say now in government, we are working more closely with the civil society, with the policy makers, and with the universities. In the past, during maybe a few years ago, university lecturers were known to criticize policy. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize, but you can criticize, but still give us the right feedback so that we can improve. So I think that closing of that gap, listening to one another, I think we all serve this country. The needs of our people are the same. Wanjiko is the same national or county government, and I think this engagement and participation, like this particular program, I think I want to associate myself and the government with it. Once more, I thank all teams involved in setting up the KU WeeHub and all the stakeholders behind this initiative on what works for women economic empowerment. I want to thank the Kenyatta University leadership, starting from Professor Paul Wainaina and all the teams and the council and everybody else who is here for putting all this program, making it important and indicating that it matters. You have the full support of the government, and particularly through my ministry and my office, we will be there to ensure objectives of the hub and the initiative are professionally met within budget and timelines. With those very many remarks, it's now my duty and honor to declare the KU Women's Economic Empowerment Hub and the initiative for what works for women's economic empowerment officially launched.
Let us appreciate our CS. As I request you to kindly remain on stage, I want to request our Vice Chancellor to join you, Professor Waudo, and our three partners. I want to request also our Chair of Council, kindly, so that we unveil the banner for this very important launch. Thank you. Let us move. I will request Professor Waudo to run that brief session.
I'm just asking Madam Cabinet Secretary to just move the curtains. That's where we are launching the hub. Just move it on the other side.
We will request that you face forward, at least for our cameraman. Thank you. And there it is unveiled. Let us appreciate our Cabinet Secretary for, wow. Let us applaud this very, very important event happening now. And thank you so much. Now we have our project officially launched.
May I now officially launch the Women Economic Empowerment, We in Kenya, the initiative for what works for women's economic empowerment, building programs and policy evidence on what works to advance women's economic empowerment of the Kenyatta University is now officially launched.
Let us appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our CES, and thank you so much, our partners.
Can we take a photo with everybody around? Over here. Other partners can come this side.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our CS. Thank you very much, our Chairman of Council, Cheng. Thank you, our VC. I will now request our partners to take a seat and still request our our chief guest to remain on stage with the Vice Chancellor. And then, as the DVC said, you bring us goodies, we also give you some goodies you go back with at home. I want to request Madam Diana, Dr. Diana Ngoi from School of Economics, to assist the Vice Chancellor to present a gift to our CS, our CS.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Cabinet Secretary. We are truly honored to be with you this occasion. And we offer you this gift as an appreciation, most importantly for the good work you're doing in this country. Now, this gift you're seeing here is a true representation of the stories about the struggles of women in this country. At the same time, it represents the strength of a woman, an African woman who is diligent, responsible, and strong as she takes care of the children. And we hope that this particular gift is going to symbolize a call for action that goes beyond gender parity, and we continue to partner together in this noble cause of economically empowering women and even attaining the global agenda of leaving no one behind. Once again, we truly appreciate your dedication and effort. May God richly reward and bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is the Vice Chancellor handing over the gift to our chief guest. Let us appreciate Thank you very much. Kindly, our chief guest, may you take your seat. Let us appreciate our Vice Chancellor, appreciate our chief guest for the address and for unveiling this banner. We are moving towards the end of this program, and I now request Professor Grace Wamue Ngari to move a vote of thanks.
Madam CS, with all protocols observed, mine is very simple, is to recognize a few people And I want to start by recognizing Almighty God, our Creator. The proposal development was taken through a very critical period of COVID, and God was very, very faithful. He protected all of us. And even the one particular person, unfortunately, who contracted COVID, he also got healed. So we really, really appreciate God. Madam CS, I also want to really, really recognize you for gracing this occasion. We have been told you have been here for half a day. It is not normally normal with the CSs. But we really, really are very, very grateful as a university because you have put us on a map. We shall be engaging you on policy development. And you are coming here as certified to us that indeed our paths are going to be very, very easy in the Ministry for Public Service and Gender Affairs. We also want to recognize the chairman of the council, Professor Shem Got Adola, for your presence and giving us good space in this university, setting the pace for the university. Kenyatta University is soaring higher and higher, and I believe you are associated with this. Thank you so much for coming to this women's occasion. We are recognizing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, for giving us not just leadership, but giving us our best environment, especially to do research and to work. Your support throughout the establishment of this hub, the proposal development, we really, really don't take it for granted, and we thank you, sir. We are also very much grateful to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for enabling us, giving us a huge amount of money. This, I think, is a first of a kind in this university, and we are very, very happy. And especially, not just financial, the foundation was very patient with us, and they also gave us a lot of feedback and guidance. And in particular, I want to recognize Ms. Difa Dal, who is the investment owner, and Ms. Jessie Sawyer, who is in charge of the finances, and all the other team within the foundation. Let my acknowledgements reach them. We want to also appreciate the Kenyatta University Women's Economic Hub Advisory Board, led by Professor Tolua. This is going to be our watchdog in whatever we do as researchers, and all the other members of that board who are present and absent. We really, really, really appreciate you for what so far you have done to the hub, and we believe we shall be working with you for the rest of the 5 years and beyond. I want to recognize our partners, in particular the governor, His Excellency the Governor Muthomi Wajuke from the Tharaka-Nithi County. He has not only physically come here on this project, especially during the very initial stages. It is not usual for a governor to go to sort of write a proposal, but we have seen the county government, also represented by Honorable Ibrahim Maruta and all the entire team. We recognize and we acknowledge the Director General, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Mr. Obudo, and your team. We really, really, really are grateful to you, and the Chief Executive, Mr. Kwame Ouno, for Institute of Economic Affairs. You are agreeing to partner with us. There are other universities you could have chosen, but you chose Kenyatta University. We are really, really grateful for you. We also want to recognize and thank our local stakeholders, among them, the University of Nairobi is a very strategic partner we are working with, and also others, like they were mentioned earlier. We recognize all of you, and we appreciate you. And we also don't forget our international collaborators. We are collaborating with actually almost the entire globe. We have partners and collaborators from Australia, collaborators from the United States of America, from the United Kingdom, and also from our own continent. So our network is wider, and we recognize all these collaborators, especially in research. I would be not fair if I did not acknowledge the Kenyatta University research team. As you have been told, Madam CS, we have more than 100 researchers, inclusive of our partners and our students, This project is geared to also train younger researchers, and we really want to appreciate you, especially the researchers, for your patience in developing the research and the teamwork that you have so far shown. We believe that is the spirit for the next 5 years. I also want to recognize the Hub leadership, which has set the stage, in particular Professor Judith Waudo for leading us, and her team, amongst them Professor Simon Onywere, Professor Jemano Mwabu, Professor Nelson Wawire, Mr. James Oditi, and myself. We are the people who are working in that hub. We really are grateful, and personally I'm grateful for this team for what so far you have done. And also all the other staff that are working behind the scenes in that particular hub. They are the secretaries, the messengers, anyone else who is working there. We really appreciate you. We also want to recognize the organizing committee that made this day a memorable event. All those who have participated in the IT department, the catering department, the music department, and any other department that has done anything to make this day a great occasion. Finally, last but not least, I want to recognize all of you. I may not have mentioned you, but you are important to the KU Women's Economic Empowerment Hub. Thank you for coming, those who are physically present and those who are also connected online, wherever you are. We really appreciate you, and we believe this is the first phase of the synergies that we are going to form to make this project a success. Madam CS, I really am honored, and I really thank you again. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's program. Thank you all for attending and for the various roles that you've played. I also want to thank the KU TV for covering this program live. Just two announcements before we leave. We are going to have a brief photo session just at the entrance. Our partners, the management team, researchers, will expect you to be part of that, and this will be led by the Director of Public Relations and Communications. And then to all of us, refreshments will be served to each and every one of us at the BSSC. So immediately after this, please don't go, let's pass by there for refreshments before we depart. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience, and thank you very much for being part of this occasion. You may leave at your own pleasure.
Tumeuona mkono wake Bwana.
The rest of us could use the side doors so that
Tangu mwishoni mwa mwaka jana, homa ya virusi vya